Hey losers, welcome back to Mac Music Review. Today it's time to talk about Taylor Swift, everyone's absolute favorite artist, a real goddess, just an incredible person, just in general. I love her so much. It's Taylor Swift, it's 10-year anniversary, it's 1989. 1989 is unquestionably one of the biggest albums of the 2010s. It won the Grammy for Album of the Year. It spawned some absolute mega hit, billions and billions of listens and views on YouTube type of songs like Blank Space and Shake It Off. Welcome to New York was in the Secret Life of Pets 2 trailer, so you know she's really hit it big. Wildest Dreams was another huge hit song, pretty inescapable. Bad Blood, specifically the remix version with Kendrick Lamar, was pretty big. You also have a song like Style, which is about Taylor Swift's relationship with Harry Styles, a certified banger that is also kind of a cult classic in the Taylor Swift canon. I don't think it got a lot of radio play, but it is one of her more well-known songs, it feels like. Every time I talk to someone about Taylor Swift, we always bring up Style. One, because I think it's a good song, and two, because I think it just has a special place in the fandom, particularly because probably it's about Harry Styles. The big question is, though, 10 years later, how does 1989 sound? Is this album an absolute classic? Is it amazing? It got an honorable mention on my Best Albums of 2014 video, which I'll link in the description. Also link all my other Taylor Swift videos in the description. But it's just like, how has this album aged? That's the big question I'm going to ask today. As far as the actual pop music and production goes, I think a lot of this album sounds really, really great, even by today's standards. I mean, especially on songs like Welcome to New York, How You Get the Girl should be really corny and bad, but surprisingly works pretty well. I thought going into I Know Places, like from my memory, that it was kind of a cringe song and not very interesting, but musically it's pretty interesting. Out of the Woods sounds pretty great, courtesy of Jack Antonoff. Like, his influence on that track is very palpable. It really kind of has almost a Bleachers type of energy and some really cool synth stuff going on. Just really the synth poppy, nostalgic synth poppy direction of this album, to this day, it sounds very charming and very likable, even if it isn't really the way that pop music sounds now. This album doesn't really sound like Midnights. It doesn't even sound like Lover. It does kind of have, a kind of a distinct place in the Taylor Swift discography, which in a way I think will make this album age even better, with it having kind of its own unique sound. The thing really holding this album back, I think, is the songwriting. There are a couple songs that go to interesting places where Taylor Swift is kind of adopting her evil persona. Songs like Blank Space, which really is a lot of fun and easily one of the best songs she's ever made. I mean, that song is musically it's great, lyrically it's really good. Taylor Swift's persona and performance on the song is really memorable and really great. She really just makes that song pop. Her personality makes that song pop, which is a really great thing to say, specifically about a really popular pop artist. And then I think Wildest Dreams is a similar thing, but to a much lesser extent. And I think both musically and lyrically, the song is not terribly interesting. It doesn't sound bad. It's just, it could be better in both regards. I think Shake It Off is just a really annoying track. There is some very, very slight novel enjoyment to be gained from listening to it, but it is very novel and it wears off very fast. If this was a deep cut, then it would be enjoyable enough, but it being the biggest song on this album and her biggest song overall just kind of makes the song so much worse, which is unfortunate to say, but the popularity of the song really does make it worse, because it really does get annoying after hearing it for the 1000th time. And that's not the only negative on the album as far as the actual holistic songs go. All You Had to Do Was Stay has never sounded good. That chorus and the way she just falsettos the word stay, it just sounds really bad, and the verses are not interesting and the chorus is not very good. It's just not a very good song overall. I Wish You Would has maybe something going for it in terms of a vibe and the songwriting, but it's ultimately a very boring and forgettable track. Bad Blood is doing nothing in the verses. Like, it is such a boring sounding song without Kendrick Lamar on it, without some, it really, it's usually kind of bad when a rapper goes on a song like this, but you need Kendrick on this song because otherwise it sounds really freaking awkward. As for the rest of the track list in terms of negatives, This Love is alright, and then I think the same thing can be said for Clean. I'm sure in the Taylor Swift fan base, those are like huge fan favorites, but to me, they don't make much of an impression. I think they're very, honestly pretty enjoyable while they're on. They just don't stick with me. I mean, they're not sticky tracks, they're not memorable tracks. There are some good, deeper cuts on this album. I mean, it'd be tough to call any of the songs a deep cut, really, but yeah, I think the album has several flaws laced throughout it, but the really, really great pop production and Taylor Swift's great presence and singing, and, it keeps the album afloat. Like, I don't hate this album. I think it's honestly, a very good pop album. I don't think it's nearly her best. In fact, as far as pure pop records go, I think she can do a lot better, and she has. I'm not saying that Lover's better. I'm saying that I think Red is, probably definitely better. And then I would probably even prefer Midnights to this, which could be a hot take to some people, but not to the Taylor Swift fans, I don't think. But I think this, I honestly, I think she can do better as far as pure pop records go. And that is essentially everything that I have brought to the table for you today to chew on. If you've never heard this album, then go ahead and check it out. You might really enjoy it. It's her most popular record for a reason. I think this is the most popular album she's ever made. You may be wondering my thoughts on the Taylor's version. I do not care about the Taylor's version albums. I listened to the Red, I've listened to bits and pieces of several of them, not all of them. But I thought the Red Taylor's version sounded really, really good. And this one sounded almost identical to the original album, so I don't really know what the point is besides all the bonus tracks. It literally was this sounds the same, but the vocals are slightly worse. I'm we're slightly more raw or whatever. I was what's the point of this? But anyway, I like this album. I hope you like this album, and I hope you listen to more music. Thank you for watching this video. Have a great rest of your day.